Have you ever been cleansed with an egg? Did anyone in your family, did you ever see anybody do this in your family? Or have you even heard of this? When I was growing up, I remember watching my great grandmother do this to us, and we must have been under the age of 7. We never saw her do that again. I don't think anybody in my family ever experienced that ever again. But I remember years later in the late 80s, I had an experience where I got really desperate. And in those times or in those years, we didn't have computers and we didn't have cell phones. And I just remember thinking that I was at this point. Well, I was a young mom, and in my first marriage, my husband was gone. He was working duty, so he wasn't there. And I just remember I had been, waking up to Randon, who was sleeping at the time, and he had high fever. And I just was so frustrated because I had already been to the doctor. I'd already taken him to his pediatrician at least 2 or 3 times. He had been on one medication and then switched to another, and nothing was working, and he was still having high fevers. And so, like I said, we didn't have computers and we didn't have cell phones. And of course, if you had a telephone, you just didn't call people after hours, right? And so I just remember I got so desperate. It was like after hours, and I just ran to the refrigerator and I grabbed an egg. I grabbed an egg from the refrigerator, and I just started saying the Our Father on him and made the sign of the cross. I mean, just with what little memory I remember, because I think I was under 7 when I had seen that happen in our family. No one ever spoke about it ever again thereafter. And because I come from a strict Catholic family, so it was just a weird thing. And like I said, I didn't know what else to do. And then when things, I think by daylight or whatever, I just remember being blown away. He didn't get the fever ever again, and I was blown away. So fast forward into the future, I meet my second husband, and we have now been married 23 years, and it is a norm for us. So anytime any of his friends, just elderly people who know that Ivan does these things, he will do the limpieza on him. It's called the egg cleanse, or limpieza de huevo, and he will cleanse them with it. And you know he doesn't do anything extravagant like the way my great grandmother did or the way I did. He everybody has their way of doing it, I guess. But one of the things that he does that is different is that he takes it to the extent of cracking it, well, filling up a glass of water, and he'll put it in there. And then, let me just show you what that looks like. So basically, he'll dump it in a glass like this, and he will look to see if there's any bubbles at the base, or anything around the egg. And then he'll also look for cascading strings, kind of like how you see here, how there's some strings going up, and he'll turn the grass around, and he'll know like exactly what's going on with the person. And so basically he will be able to tell if somebody's been, like, if there was some witchcraft done on this person, or if there's just bad energy, if there's stress, if there's any health issues. He can tell, he can see all of these things. And so it is amazing the things that Ivan has showed me, and the things that we've seen through the years with different people that he's cleansed them, done an egg cleanse on. So what I have seen that really benefits us who get the cleanse from him is that he will tell you, like, if there's a health issue going on that doctors haven't discovered yet, or you're dealing with something and he knows that you are, he'll be able to say, yeah, you either have this issue going on or whatever. And I'll be surprised at some of the people that he's worked on, the things that he's seen. So I've been learning through the years. I have some small insights. I don't have a lot, but you don't need to have all that. You just need to have faith in God, and pray in Jesus' name. And if you don't even want to look at the egg, I invite you to at least cleanse yourself, and then just take the egg to your backyard and just throw it as far as you can, and just watch and observe to see if it's cracked. It does whatever. If you don't want to throw it, I always feel awkward when I have to go throw mine, because my arms are, I'm getting old. And so sometimes I just do my best to throw it, chunk it, or he says just throw it in the trash, into a toilet where there's water, or he says crack it and just throw it down the sink. You do whatever you feel like is best. If you want to do it to the extent of, where you put it in glass and try to, get some pictures of it, just observe different things about it, send us a picture. We can give you some ideas, or I can't, but Ivan can tell you more or less, what you're dealing with. But again, I invite you to try this. It's a remedy. It's not a cure. I highly recommend that, if things are kind of stressful right now, or if you have been dealing with some, discomfort, or just a sadness, or you feel like something's, just got you down and you can't figure out why, it doesn't hurt to do the cleanse. And what we're finding, or what I'm finding as I learn more and more about this, is that, you don't want to just do one cleanse. You want to do the cleanse. You'll be amazed after you get it done, because you'll get all this negative mala vibras, negative energy removed, to give you some relief. And then, of course, you want to do another cleanse, at least another 7 days, or just, you don't have to be strict or religious about it, but just get another one done. And he has different suggestions that he will recommend. And yeah, and I mean, again, this isn't no cure. This does not cure. There's no medical whatever, but it doesn't hurt to get this relief, and at least see what can happen. See what can happen. If you're saying the prayer and you're doing it in Jesus' name, I would bet that you could get some kind of relief. And so I just wanted to recommend that, this little remedy, it's a remedy, and it'll help, alleviate some things. If doctors are having a hard time finding, some issues that you're dealing with, this will also help the doctors, the medical team, have some insight on your next visit. All right, well, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share this remedy. And again, scientists have not been able to explain how or why this works, but it is a belief system that my culture has. I am Mexican American, and then, of course, Ivan is from Cuba, and he has some Afro influence. And he always says that Africa is the original country where people came from, and they have powerful remedies, powerful, just old way of doing things, and it doesn't hurt to try it. So I wish you all the best. God bless you, and just shoot me a message if you have any questions. All right, bye.